wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the DID Academy. This session is all about AI for good, and specifically how we at DID leverage avatars for good. And I'm going to introduce you to a bunch of people in just a few minutes, but first of all, I want to introduce you to DID itself. Some of you may be familiar, some of you may be encountering us for the first time. DID's core capabilities are in the world of AI video generation. We use AI to generate new video frames of people's faces based on either photos or videos and match them with written or recorded scripts. The company was founded in 2017, originally as a cybersecurity company. And then in 2021, we entered the video generation space. We leveraged our kind of built-up expertise in identifying and animating the human face to create avatars. Since then, we've kind of grown pretty substantially, raised tens of millions of dollars in funding from international VCs, and more than doubled in size. We've got presence all around the world, roughly 85 employees at the moment. And here are some numbers to illustrate that growth. So to date, we've got more than 180 million videos that have been generated using our platform. We've got 270,000 people that have generated an API key. So these are developers that are building with our API, have used by hundreds of large enterprises, have a new sign up to our studio roughly every 3 seconds, and well over 1 million people that are using our mobile app. When it comes to our solutions, we have two primary ones. So one is AI videos. These are easy to create AI avatars to help you make video content more engaging. They can be either based on images or video, meaning that you can animate any image of a face. You can use our kind of existing bank of pre-existing photorealistic avatars, or you can, in some cases, customers shoot themselves and have us make avatars of them. We work with 3 different voice providers. We use 11 Labs, Microsoft Azure, and PlayHT. We offer instant voice cloning, and you can generate a video based on either text-to-speech or an audio recording. Other kind of newer solution is real-time AI agents. Basically, these are interactive digital humans who can engage in a conversation on behalf of the person who created them based on their definitions. So we connect a face, the avatar, a face, a body, a digital human to a large language model, and people can converse with it. Agents can be shared, embedded on websites, and a lot of use cases there with these devices. We'll be talking about some of them during this webinar. For those who are more kind of technically inclined, we also have an API that provides more flexibility, larger scales, developers to build applications of their own using our capabilities. And like I said, 270,000 of the people have already done that. A few awards that we're really proud of that we've won over the years. Just recently, we were one of the first honorees to receive the QB's Award. That's from Harvard School of Design. And also multiple Muse Award wins for creative design work, and also for some of our AI for Good project that we'll be hearing about. The first guest I'd like to introduce you all to is our co-founder and CEO, Gil Perry. Gil, you want to unmute yourself and say hello to people?
Hi, everyone. Really excited to have you. Very important topic that is important to my heart. And yes, thanks for attending the webinar.
Excellent. Thanks, Gil. Few questions kind of just to get us on this topic of AI for good and social impact. So I guess I'll begin with, you're the co-founder, CEO. why is it important for you that DID is active on the social impact front?
Okay, so first it is social impact. So it is super important. And maybe I'll give a bit of a history about DID. So those who don't know, DID is short for de-identification. Okay, DID actually years before the company started, my co-founders, Sela and Deliran and myself, we sat and we thought on what business we can build, which can be big and successful and sustainable, but also do good to the world. And we thought about several initiatives. We thought about our loved ones, families, people that need help. And one idea was to map radiation. Another idea was to help people that uses iPhone, people with farsightedness that use phones. And another idea was to protect from face recognition. And this fascinated us, the problem and the potential solution, and we went on to solve that. So DID is short for de-identification for that reason. We went to Y Combinator for protecting against face recognition. And very fast, we realized that there is something much bigger happening here regarding generative AI and what we call today large language models and digital humans. And we realized that we can not only lead this space of digital humans, but lead it into the right direction. And we've pivoted and we promised ourselves that our DNA around doing good and doing using AI responsibly is going to stay in our DNA. And it's still a super integral part of our DNA. And we are thankful, I think, the partners and all the company for the opportunity to make a positive impact. It's a personal mission for us, the founders and the management and the employees. And I think we are in this space. We're the only company that it's really part of the DNA. And also, I'm sure we are the only one that has in the management an impact leader, which is here with us, Shiran. And the last reason is, it's a good reason to wake up every morning with a smile and go to work. I think all the employees at DID feel that. So yeah, this is why I think it's important.
Excellent. Thanks, Gil. And when you're talking about your own personal story as a founder, can you share a bit what causes are important to you?
Yes, so all of the causes we are doing and all what Shiran brings and you see outside is things that are important, but those that really touched me the most, one is the projects we did to help women that experienced domestic violence, and I'll not talk too much about it because Shiran is going to.
No spoilers.
Yeah, so no spoilers, but maybe spoilers for the next webinar, which are some recent projects which are super important and more than touched, I think, all of us. And I hope we will talk about them in the next webinar. Yeah, good time to put the link for the next webinar. Thanks, Ron. So helping people with muscular dystrophy and with ALS, people who lost their voice. This is a different impact that we've done. So these are people who lost their voice due to these diseases. An example is Debbie Admoni, which recently also came to the office and presented to the company and showed the use of the technology. And I think no eyes were left dry after presentation. David Zorba, which used our technology and became a vlogger and a TikToker, and I think he mentioned that it really brought his smile back, and he sent us all books, and it was touching. Another one that I hope that we will see happening, and I can't share much about it, is in the healthcare space. A project that there is lack of people in healthcare, and specifically in the triage part. And so triage for psychiatry treatment and for PTSD. Very important project that also I think we have here a partner, Microsoft, which is part of this project, which I hope we will see live and we'll be able to speak about maybe in the next webinar that we are very proud of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, folks. I dropped a link for register to the next AI for Good webinar on October 30th. So make sure to sign up for that. And we're going to be diving a lot deeper into some of these use cases that Gil was talking about. And Gil, just one final question for you. What areas do you think generative AI can do the most good?
Okay, so I think the virality effect of the technology. So I think it's extremely powerful in content creation, automation, and where you get a lot of awareness. Social networks, anything related to engagement, education. And okay, so where it's the most impactful is in impact is when we give a voice to people who can't speak for themselves. If it's people who can't speak, or they are shy, or they are not longer with us. And what I was trying to say just before is that we and you, the listeners, creators, companies, individuals, the people who are listening now, we can do something huge here. Our mission, and what I think we are starting to see, is to create a snowball. So our technology is visual, and many people, individuals, creators, when they use it, usually they share it on social media, and sometimes, many times, it goes viral. We saw technology in some cases being seen many billions of times. Balenciaga, the Deep Nostalgia, and the others. So what we are trying to do here is we are creating these social impact campaigns. The world see them, and then we see more people creating social impact pro bono campaigns, and we call you to do the same, to use the technology, do good things, share them, post them. More people will see, more people will use the technology and other generative AI tech to do good, and then it just becomes bigger than all of us.
Excellent. Absolutely taking advantage of new technology to raise awareness, to do good in the world. That's what we're all about here today. Gil, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Ron.
All right. And now I want to introduce you to our next speaker, our next participant, Shiran. Open your mic. Say hello to the folks.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here today, and thank you for joining us. And today I'm very excited. I'm going to talk about the thing I love the most, talk about how we can leveraging Gen AI for doing good and affect people's lives.
So let's dive right into it. I mean, where does this kind of convergence of social impact and tech, where does that meet you? What first drew you into this world?
Wow. So I think for me, it's a very big question. I would love to share about my starting point, actually. I think most of my career, I had kind of a parallel life. Like I had my day job where I used to work with tech, startup companies and innovative companies, also multinationals like Honda, Volvo, Hertz, and others. We traveled all around the world. We built commercial relationships and so on. And all the time, I had my night job. And in my night job, I used to volunteer. volunteer in different organizations. I started with providing legal advice to the poor, as I'm an ex-lawyer, and also assist women at risk, until 3 years ago that I met a domestic violence survivor, that survivor in the last minute, and she shared a story with the whole country. And by doing so, I saw that she dramatically increased awareness to domestic violence. And that got me thinking, about all the women that are not with us anymore. And I thought, what if we can hear their voices, and what we as a society can learn for what's happened to them? And at that point, I know that I'm familiar with amazing AI technology of DAD, and the idea pumped into my head, and I thought, we can use this technology to animate the images of the women that are not with us anymore, and we can let them tell their own story. But I can share with you that at that point, I wasn't sure if this idea is a genius idea or totally insane one. And I decided to talk to people, to my colleagues. So I think the first call was actually to Gil, the CEO of DAD, and another friend of mine, CEO of one of the leading organizations that's combating domestic violence. And another friend was a partner of advertising firm. And luckily, they all loved the idea. And from that day, I decided I would quit my day job, and put all my time, all my efforts in this project, because I know I can make it. And I thought it was going to take me like 2 to 3 months, but it took me around 9 months, and we ended around 28 partners from 3 different sectors. And we brought virtually to life 5 diverse women. And when we launched it, it was such a great success. It was a success by any measure here. We were around 10 million views in just 3 days. We've been in the national news, all TV channels. We've been in it was very viral on social media. Influencers share the campaign. The CEO of Meta in Israel also shared it.
Shiran, hold on a second. We'll get there, and we want to show a video of what it looks like.
Okay. But bottom line, I have so many things to share. So bottom line,
I know.
I saw firsthand the power of the Gen AI, and I decided from that day that this is what I want to do for a living. And I found the perfect partner in crime, DAD, and we are leveraging the Gen AI for addressing different and severe social issues.
Okay, so I mean, I got to ask, right? So you have a bit of a tech background, you have a legal background, obviously a full heart, and tons of compassion and solidarity. But when it comes to generative AI and tools like DID, what's your kind of overall attitude, approach, beliefs about the power of the technology, I guess, which goes kind of in many different directions?
Okay, so I think you can move to the next slide. And I think this slide is described very well, my opinion, about the Gen AI, because I think it could be like nuclear energy. From one end, it could be misused and people can create the atomic weapon. But on the other end, it could be for the beneficial of society, and we can create a new source of energy. And in AI, it's not just the misuse of the technology and the ethical use. And my approach is take it another step forward, and we can be proactive and leverage this technology for doing good. Like, use it in ethical and responsible way. It's very important, but we can do it. We can affect people in proactive way, and this is my approach. This is the missionary, and by do it so in a very responsible, professional way, and do it together with a domain expert, for example, the social organization, we can really affect people. We can increase attention, awareness, and more than that, create emotion and even trust.
All right, now we can dive into some of the projects that you've been involved in, and this is what you began speaking about battling domestic violence.
Yeah.
Maybe let's watch the video of it in action so that people
Yeah,
can know
but
what
short
we're talking about.
introduction. Okay,
Okay.
perfect. A short introduction about the video. You can move to the next slide. First of all, just it's a trigger warning. We're going to talk about domestic violence, and I know that we mentioned it, but please just consider that sometimes it brings up some emotional feelings. And I want to introduce you to Michal. This is Michal Sela. Her case is one of the most famous and also infamous cases in Israel. Michal was 32 years old. She came from a loving family. She was beloved. She had many friends. She was a qualified social worker. And however, 4 years ago, her husband stabbed her to death in front of the 8-month-old baby daughter. And for her family and close friends, this murder was a completely shock. And now I want you to hear what Michal has to say.
I was Michal Sela. In 2019, I was murdered by the man who was my husband, the killer, Eliran Malul. And today, after I lost my life, I call on you. Listen to my voice. If you are in a relationship or were in a relationship and he is jealous and obsessive towards you, if you are afraid of his reaction to parting from you, share it with a close person and a domestic violence expert who will help you separate safely and return to your light. Listen to your gut feeling. Do it today. Listen to my voice. Listen to your voice.
Wow. Very impactful.
Indeed, actually. So this was the story of Michal, one of 5. So I think we can move to the next slide because we're a bit short in time, and I would love to share, as much as possible. So we won international awards. We presented the campaign in the UN, in NATO, and other very prestigious stages around the world. We gained a very wide coverage from the local and international press as well. And since then, as I mentioned, this is what I decided about. This is what I want to do for a living. And the next project, I will discuss this very briefly. Here we took straight from the pages of the history, 10 heroes, men and women, from the Holocaust period, and we let them tell their own stories from their own mouths in their own words. And we presented it in the main ceremony of the March of the Living, one of the most exciting events that I ever been. It was in Auschwitz. We gathered, we were around like 13,000 people all around the world. Half of them are teenagers and some of them are leaders from different countries. And we've been in the main stage, was just in the middle of Auschwitz. And then we presented those videos talking about the Jewish resistance and all what's happened in the Holocaust. It was a very, very powerful video that affects teenagers and also leaders from different countries, and was broadcast live streaming in leading media outlets as well.
Maybe let's watch a short clip of that.
Yeah, exactly.
The day before the outbreak of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, the square and the streets of the ghetto were empty and abandoned. People preparing to go underground, fighters to their battle positions and outposts. We were to cause the enemy a heavy loss.
When the day dawned, I saw the thousands of Germans surrounding the ghetto with machine guns, with cannons, and there we stood opposite them, some 20 young men and women. Each one had a revolver. The entire unit had 2 rifles, homemade bombs.
Beginning from today, we shall shift over to partisan tactics. It is impossible to describe the conditions under which the Jews of the ghetto are now.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. These videos are available
the day before
on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's well worth the watch. Beautiful, editing work and artwork aside from the DID avatars, and a very, very, very emotional, impactful story.
Okay, and this is another project that we did. This is an educational app, and we let students, before they travel to Poland and to Auschwitz, to learn about the Holocaust. We gather in the library of one of the leading museums here, and we let them, we told them, now you have to explore by yourself, find a relevant hero that you feel connected to, find the authentic quote, and after they gather confirmation from the teacher, they can create their own animation. And here you can move to the, okay, no, the next slide is another project, but we saw the impact in two different aspects. One is the educational side, where we saw the children are very excited to explore and learn more about those topics. And the other one is the emotional side, where they feel more connected to the story and sometimes even create animation with their own voice. This is another project that we did. Here we reinvent the posters of the missing people in the UK. We just, you're familiar with old poster of the missing, and now we create like a new clear call to action, help find a QR code, and of course the AI reanimated the face of those children. And we saw an increase of 170% in the entrance to the website. You can move to the next slide. And here is the animated Sophia chat. One of the projects is very close to my heart. Here, as you can see, we collaborate with Spring Act that you will hear very soon from Rhiana, the CEO of the organization, and we collaborate with Microsoft that you're gonna also hear about their participants. And DID, of course, we use the DID AI to animate the face of Sophia Chat, and the UN women that support the campaign, the project, actually, the animated Sophia Chat, because we assist them to make life-saving information to make it more accessible to people of all literacy levels all around the world.
So before we invite our next guest on Rhiana from Spring Act, let's watch a video kind of talking about the project.
1 in 3 women worldwide, approximately 736 million women, are subjected to physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. Those who experience domestic abuse are often made to feel guilty. They feel alone. Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm a chatbot here to help people suffering from abuse. 24/7, anonymous, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for chatting to me. What can I help you with today? If you're feeling alone, know that there are many people out there ready and waiting to help you. What shall we chat about first?
Together with survivors, we developed Sophia to empower people suffering from domestic violence to more easily reach out for help and take action.
To make Sophia accessible to people of all literacy levels, now she can interact with you through a talking chatbot. By leveraging generative AI, she can respond in multiple languages and in a more human-like way.
Stopping the cycle of abuse isn't easy. However, it's possible to escape and live an abuse-free life.
UN Women is inspired by this global collaboration created to combat the worldwide shortage of government and NGO resources and to rectify the lack of knowledge and trust on the part of survivors.
At Microsoft, we believe technology is a powerful force for good, and everyone should have access to knowledge and benefit from its use.
So I can find support near you. Please tell me which country or region you're in. You are not to blame. You are not alone. We see you. We hear you. We believe you. One in 3.
All right, and now it's my pleasure to introduce you to Rhiana Spring. She's the CEO of Spring Act. Rhiana, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's absolute pleasure. So we saw the video, but maybe you can tell us a bit more about your organization, its vision, its goals, its activities, and how did you get started in this field?
A lot of big questions for the start. Hi everyone, it's lovely to be here. A big thanks to Shiran as well, who is the heart of this collaboration. Spring Act stands for Action, Compassion, Technology, and despite it being my surname, it actually stands for the seasons of new beginnings, when new life breaks free from the frozen ground. And that is at the heart of what we do. Our vision is to connect human rights and AI to enable individuals, to empower individuals to take action and help eliminate global social injustices. The idea for all of this started when I was stationed with the UN in West Africa, and I had multiple 5 refugees come and see me for the issues they were facing. And we weren't the right UN organization, so I tried to mobilize different organizations, aid organizations, UN agencies, to no avail. And it was by chance that I was having lunch with a friend from the Swiss embassy at the time, and she by chance knew the system in Senegal really well. And within a weekend, she had found 3 solutions to one of these issues, which was putting a young refugee child into school who had fled so many wars that she was technically too old for the grade she should be in. A simple technicality like that kept her out of school for 5 years. And within a weekend, by knowing the right person, she was in school by the end of the month. And that's where that sparked the idea. So I started developing a technology that would connect the people who needed help with the organizations that were likely to help them. They just needed this bridge to find each other. And we were developing that, and the pandemic hit. Domestic violence rose so drastically everywhere in the world that we decided to pivot and focus in on survivors of domestic violence. To just bring this a bit closer to, to home as well, maybe you can show the first slide. Domestic violence is a $1 billion problem. Over 1 billion people are experience domestic violence in their lifetime. That's 1 in 3 women experience domestic violence in their lifetime everywhere in the world. Next slide. There is not a single country, not a single ethnicity, not a single social class, not a single gender that is spared from domestic violence. It goes, the lowest in air quotes is 15% is Hong Kong, but it goes up to 71% in Ethiopia and India, for example, that experience domestic violence. And despite this being such a massive issue, you can see in the next slide, only 40% ever seek help. Only 40% of survivors, despite it being such a big issue, seek help. And only 20%, in a lot of countries, only 10% go to the police. And that's what we want to change with our chatbot, Sophia. Just very briefly on the next slide that you can see an overview of what she does. We call it GAL. She helps you gather potential evidence of what is happening in the relationship. She helps you assess your rights as a victim, but also as a civil person. Can you get a divorce? What happens about custody? What happens if my visa is tied to my abusive partner? Can I still leave and stay in the country? And last but not least, you can learn about your options. Sophia tells you about and educates you about the different signs of abuse. A lot of times when I present Sophia, people go, oh, I don't know anyone in my surroundings that is a survivor of domestic abuse, because people think it's only physical. Yet women that go into shelters, 98% of them have experienced financial abuse. So it very often starts with financial abuse or emotional abuse and ends in physical abuse, like Shiran was saying, often women and then pay with their lives.
And, where did the idea to develop a chatbot come from?
It was actually, it didn't start with a chatbot. It was at the beginning, I had the idea to, open up kiosks around the country and people could come physically and use computers. Then it was going to be a website, and then that became UX-wise is not very good. Then it was going to be an app, but in a lot of countries, data is very expensive, so that would cost to download an app. And then we ended up in a chatbot. Also, specifically for survivors of domestic violence, really important. If you download anything, the abuser could see that. But with Sophia being in all message, like in WhatsApp and Telegram, soon Viber. She's there on all your phones right now. She's there. You can just chat to her. Once you've done chatting, you can just delete the chat as if you would archive, delete any other chat, and she's gone. That's how we ended up on a chatbot.
Brilliant. And can you share a bit about how people are using it, how victims are taking advantage of it?
Yeah, so we launched in December 2021. Since then, 36,000 have reached out and chatted to Sophia completely organically. So we've actually just hired a head of advocacy and comms, which we're trying to reach way more survivors. And this collaboration with DID, UN and Microsoft, actually with this additional feature of the avatar, helped increase the engagement rate by 77%.
And yeah, I mean, I guess that would be my next question. Deciding to change from kind of a text-based chatbot to a video chatbot or with an avatar. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes, so it comes why I used that slide of 1 billion before, is the amount of people that experience domestic violence, but also unrelated, there is over 1 billion people that have lower literacy rates. This is something that if you live in a capital city or you have your usual circle of friends, you don't believe that so many people actually struggle to read. And as much as a text-based chatbot is great, having the option to be able to hear what Sophia says really increases the accessibility. So there again, lowering the threshold to help massively.
And can you, I don't know, maybe anecdotally, or can you tell what the reaction has been to having that type of interface?
It's been heartwarming. A lot of people that have lower literacy rates are very often excluded in help tools that are there to help people. And so it was really heartwarming to see the reaction of people when we say that Sophia is now available to these 1.1 billion people that have less or lower literacy rate. Has been really, really heartwarming. It's had a really big positive local and global impact. We had this, once we let the world know that this is now available, we were covered in across the globe in press coverages, and in total I can't quite say since the project, but this project has had the biggest coverage. Sophia's been talked about in articles across 15 countries, and over 58 articles have been written about Sophia, and the biggest press coverage has been with this announcement.
Excellent. And going forward, do you have additional plans for Sophia?
Yeah, lots of plans. Our plan is so the biggest issue with all small organizations is funding. So with the right funding, our goal is to bring Sophia on a local level to every single country in the world. So at the moment, Sophia is available in every country on a national level. So if you're, for example, in Germany, you would get a national organization that can help. But once we've localized in the countries, you can then ask for help local where you are. So that's the goal in the next 10 years if we get the funding to do so. And right now we're in the end phase of moving Sophia to completely Gen AI. When we started developing Sophia, we started presenting Sophia by explaining what a chatbot is. AI was not where it is today. This was pre-ChatGPT, 2 years pre-ChatGPT. And so this has obviously made a massive shift. And we're now going to be, hopefully next month, officially launching to the public the Gen AI. And last but not least, what I really like about DID is the agents that you're now offering is something that I'm fascinated by myself. I chatted to the agent when it came up at the beginning, and it feels so lifelike. So we would love to see the possibilities once we've done this transition to use potentially DID's agent to A, make it more lifelike and more human, but B, also that people can choose their avatar. So if you would rather talk to someone from the same country as you can then pick that avatar to bring that more human connection again closer.
Sounds really great. And since you mentioned that you are looking for funding, maybe you can drop a link in the chat if people do want to donate or share it. I think that would be great.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. Thanks, Ron.
All right, Rhiana, thanks very much. And it's time to bring on, I guess, another pillar of this project. Welcome, Raz Bachar. He's a managing director at Microsoft. Raz, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, Microsoft, a household brand, everybody knows. Can you tell us a bit how you played into this project, the Sophia bot?
Sure. I think, first it's really important to understand even like the connection between Microsoft and DID. And in that sense, it's been a very long history with DID. I think we've started to work together even in the days where DID was still like a cybersecurity company. And interestingly enough, like even back then, the company's done some amazing things with regards to AI, machine learning back then, and I think already then they were one of the early adopters for the Microsoft technologies and the managed services around that, right? So obviously there was great collaboration between the companies, and once Gen AI kind of became a thing and kind of the pivot that you mentioned earlier that the company did, the synergy got even stronger. And so that's kind of one front on how the collaboration with the idea. And then obviously when Microsoft across the board has many different initiatives with regards to corporate responsibility, AI for good across many pillars. And again, that goes from the top, like from Satya and some of the mission that he's driving with the leadership of Brett Smith, who's kind of owning that segment in the company. And then almost every department and every region has some sort of initiatives or projects that they're involved. And again, Microsoft now across the board, we see it as as the name suggests, like the corporate responsibility to actually provide the community, the audience, the regions that we operate in, and even on the global scale, to make that impact for positive good. And I think specifically with Sophia, once obviously it's the story of Michal, it got to everybody in the country. And I think that once Shiran brought this project, to our doorstep, I think it was a obvious thing that we want to be part of it, and we are looking to contribute and to raise the awareness however we can. We also managed to harness different executives from Microsoft on one hand to promote and to be officially part of this project on one hand. And then the second is support also from the technical perspective. So leveraging some of the Microsoft AI, cognitive services, Azure OpenAI, and so on, in order to make this project available as much as we can.
And yeah, I mean, obviously we couldn't have done it without you and Microsoft Azure, and support so much of our capabilities. I guess let's take a step backwards and kind of zoom out. How what kind of a role does social impact play in Microsoft and kind of global strategy?
Of course. So I think again, like a couple of years ago, it actually became like almost as a standalone pillar, right? Like if in the past you had kind of fintech and healthcare and retail and so on, I think as of a couple of years ago, impact, or specific within the company, like we call it like the AI for good, became a specific a pillar of its own. Microsoft do distinguish, between a couple of categories. The specific focus that we have, again, also aligning to SDGs and so on, is around, AI for humanitarian rights, cultural heritage, accessibility, healthcare, and environment. And obviously, among those pillars, there are like different projects that goes anything from carbon removal to accessibility, and obviously there's like a lot of work that's being done even with Microsoft Philanthropy and so on.
And you're talking about collaborations, obviously a lot of work with startups like this example. Can you tell us a bit more about your activities in that field?
Of course. So just kind of taking leveraging the slides the slide in front of us again, like I'm leading Microsoft for Startups operation, and the goal of the team is to support startups and create collaboration, business opportunities, and support our technical stack across their different stages in their life cycle. That could be anything from to entrepreneurs with an idea and up to the unicorns of the world. Microsoft has quite a wide operation to support the different use cases, whether it be according to the early stage, late stage, the go-to-market in region, globally, and so on. And obviously, the support that we give also from the technical side is extremely comprehensive. One of the things that we have in order to support those startups is a program that is called Founders Hub. I'll drop the link in the chat in a second. And through the program, entrepreneurs, again, as early as in the ideation phase, can get access to most of the tools as we see it that can allow them to leverage cloud credits, productivity tools, LinkedIn licenses, GitHub, and many more resources that are available, especially many resources available also specifically around the AI front, including access to Azure OpenAI, even OpenAI third party, some of the open source models that we have as well. So it's quite comprehensive, and we see a huge adoption around among startups for the program. And again, obviously there's because of the different resources that we enable, we do see a high amount of startups, specifically in the AI for good, that are leveraging those resources in order to build incredible things and making their impact, right? And so yeah.
And yeah, we can leave with this quote from Brad that you mentioned earlier. So when your technology changes the world, you bear a responsibility to help address the world you have helped create, which I think is a very powerful message.
Exactly. And I think that, interesting enough, like this is the book that he released, I think in 2020, something like that. And he actually has a new book that is available as of April, which is entitled AI for Good. So again, I dropped both links to the Microsoft for Startup program, and then also for the AI for Good lab of Microsoft, it is also kind of has some insight about the book.
Excellent. Well, we have a few minutes left over for Q&A. So if anybody wants to leave a question in the chat, we can take a few questions maybe briefly. I think we'll have to leave that for next time. We're already running late. So I want to thank everybody who participated. So Shiran, Raz, Rhiana, Gil, I want to thank everybody who joined us. I think this was a great session, really inspiring, giving everybody ideas for what can be done with this powerful technology to make such a positive impact. I'm going to leave you with a bit of a shameless plug to follow DID on our social channels. We also recently launched a Discord server, so check us out there. And just a final reminder, if you found this webinar interesting, please join us again on October 30th. Shiran and myself, we're going to be talking AI for Good again, with a bit of a different focus and more on stuff that Gil was talking about earlier. So health applications, giving a voice to the silent, like we say. You can go to the website now, register for that. And there's a link in the chat. I'll leave that up for a few more minutes. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, our guests, for sharing from your knowledge and experience. And we hope to see you all again very soon in our next webinar.